Welcome to another segment of provocative conversations destined to provoke further thought and spark greater questions regarding God, church, and the religious establishments of both the past and the present. I am the proud heretic, Mr. Provocateur himself. Hello, the proud heretic here. Continuing on in our subtopic, the prophetic utterances that God gave me as it pertains to the United States and its systems. To the United States, I want you to know that this is a season where truth, in whatever form it comes in, will come forth in this season. If you are on the side of falsity, on the side of the cover-up, on the side of anything that is not founded upon and in truth, you will definitely be on the wrong side of things in this season. Because this is the season where truth will spring forth from every direction, and it'll come forth from every sector of every society, including the society within the United Divided States of this stolen America. Truth will spring forth in devastating fashion. The truth that will spring forth will be devastating. It'll be devastating to hear. It'll be devastating to admit. It'll be devastating for those who are going to have to change from it. It will have devastating effects. And it's going to destroy people. Their lives are going to be destroyed. Their businesses are going to be destroyed. Their relationships are going to be destroyed. Their savings are going to be destroyed from the truth that is going to prevail in this season. People are going to be devastated by the truth once it comes forth, but they're going to have to admit the truth, even though it's devastating. People will be forced to see and admit the devastating truth that will come forth during this season. They'll be forced to see and admit all that they have failed and refused to acknowledge or admit or even try to right. Every society, including you, United States, because this is for you right now, will receive its share of suffering. No society will be equal, though. No society will equal in the degree of suffering that it'll go through. No society will be spared of its woes. Every society will receive its share of woes, including you, United States of America. Here in the Americas, remember this here. The events of this season will bring the mightiest to their knees. The mightiest nation, the United Divided States of this stolen America. The events of this season will bring the most powerful to their knees. This season will humble the most influential. Every society will receive its share of suffering. You divided states of America. Many in power will lose their positions. Here in the United States, you in your systems, you will see people lose their positions. You will see people be removed from their positions, and you will see other people being moved into their rightful positions. People that were choked out, people that were left out, they'll begin to move into their positions, as those of you who are in position will be removed from your positions, because it's because of those of you in position that has positioned this divided states, and even, I dare say, the world into the state that it is now at. You will not be saved through your influence. Your influence will have no play in this season to get you out of this season. It may work for a few seconds or seem to work for a few seconds, but truth must prevail in this season. Righteousness and justice must prevail in this season. So your influence will fail utterly. No one will be saved because of their riches. This is not a season of exemption. And that's one thing that the divided states of America needs to realize. America, we are not exempt from this season. This is a season where everyone is subject to the events of this season. No one is exempt from this season. No one is exempt in this season. Everyone is within reach during this season. Every nation, every system, everyone is subject to the events of this season. Here in the divided states, businesses, as you have seen, you have Macy's, you have J.C. Penney's, you have Kohl's, you have Hertz, you have airlines, you have all types of businesses filing for bankruptcy, and you have not even seen the middle of what is going to happen. You are still on the crusty outer surfaces of what is going to happen in this season and what is going to shut down and be dismantled in this season. God says that many businesses will close for good because of the direct impact that this season will have upon the business world financially. Many other businesses will be closed of the sheer toll of death. Many of the workers will be dead. CEOs will die. Many of those who are holding the system or that business together will die out. What will happen then? Many will be so sick they won't be able to work anymore after this here because of the after effects of this virus upon their pre-existing conditions or even new conditions that came directly from the virus or whatever else may come in this season. Many owners and CEOs will cease in their existence. You'll begin to see business owners and CEOs die out. Many workers won't return because of their death, because they have no place to return to, because businesses will be shut for good. The doors of their workplaces will be completely and permanently shut. The economy will suffer greatly during this season. There will not be a bounce back in the economy. In this administration that we're currently in, we have failed to acknowledge the hand that God used to get things to where they were up to this point. We have failed to give credit where credit is due. That's a monster. And that's a monster that I don't understand myself. But it has to be a monster because the party that is in control right now still can't come up with a solution. So it must be a monster. But in doing so, you got to be careful to not step off of the shoulders of those who came before you, because we're all standing upon the shoulders of those who came before us. God used them to lay foundations and to set up certain things for us so that we can take over from there and better it even the more. But when we come in and we want to ramshack and tear down and discredit everything because we didn't like who was in office, we didn't like the color of the person, we didn't like the style of the person or the honesty of the person, or we didn't like that the person didn't believe how we believe, and instead of going against abortion, he continued with whatever, instead of denying equal rights to those of same-sex marriages and relationships, he did otherwise. First of all, you're not God, sir or ma'am. You have a problem, and you want Jesus to fit into your problem. In fact, you want Jesus to give his stamp of approval on your problem. Yet you cannot tell me or show me one time where Jesus spoke about homosexuality. Yeah, you can go and try to say some things to try to stretch that to what it was, but understand this, it was a stretch of the imagination to even write most of that book anyway. Why? Because none of it was in English, and English was a new term, and neither of us was there when those crooked Roman bishops came together with all of their personal issues and their personal ideologies and prejudices and racial ideas or racial ideologies. When they had all of that going on in their lives, how do you come to the conclusion that what they put there was wholly correct? And then how do you come up with what they may have said in there in some hidden form or some hidden word that had nothing to do necessarily or directly with homosexuality. So if Jesus didn't say it, why are you trying to get his stamp of approval so that he can say what you say? When and where the book is silent, I have a set of recordings out there. I didn't beat that like I wanted that subject like I wanted to beat it, but I spoke it how I felt it at the time. But I wish that I would have gone to some deeper levels in that. However, the gist of the message is there. When and where the book is silent, what do? We got to be careful. See, now I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to talk beyond the book. Why? Because God told me to talk beyond the book. Why? Because God talks beyond the book. See, do you realize that whatever God says that's not in the book is beyond the book? Do you deny what God said or what you heard God say because you can't find it or it's not in the book? We're twisted. That's how we got twisted, because we put everything in a book. And if it doesn't fit in the book, we disown it. We deny it. We discredit it. We kill it. That's what we've done. That's what we've done with a whole lot of things that we have, a whole lot of ideologies that we have. They're not biblical. It's nothing different from the people in Jesus's day, the Pharisees, how they had the oral law, they had the written law, they had their traditions, and then they had the law. And Jesus addressed both the law and their traditions. And he said, your traditions nullify the power of God from ever taking effect in your life, because you do not allow, your traditions don't allow God to be God, because God can never be God where your traditions have already been set up as a God. That's why you will always hear me say this: to hell with religion, Christianity, church, and the traditions of the church that void out the truth and nullify the actual power of God from ever being effective within those institutions and through those institutions. Moving on. Understand this, United States of America. As long as you are part of the earth, you are part of the events of this season. And one thing that God stated to me regarding the earth, he said that the earth will groan for the dead. Human remains will be scattered throughout the earth. Do you know what that includes, United States? Us. So far, we put more dead folk in the ground than anyone else has. And those are the honest ones. Those are the ones the officials, local, state, and federal government permitted to be known to us, made known to us. We've put more people in the ground. God said that human remains will be scattered throughout the earth, that the earth will be filled with human remains, the remains of the dead. God said that there's going to be death all around. That includes you, Mr. and Mrs. Divided States of America. The dead will fill the earth, not just other sectors of the world, but the earth, United Divided States of America. Death will reach every extent of the earth, including us. It will reach to the furthest extent, and there will be no extent, including you, America, that death does not reach. We've seen that we are in great proximity of death. We're seeing it every day. We're at about 1,000 a day. I suspected, from what God was telling me, if things were going to happen like they were supposed to happen, and as the doctors began to say, I said, well, when it was in New York months ago, I said, well, that would mean that we would have to have somewhere about 3,000, 3,500 deaths a day here in this divided states of America in order for the numbers to get to that point. Well, because of how God has expressed to me regarding the deaths in this season, I must say to you, America, that in order for the world to get to this number that God is stating to me, he didn't give me a specific number, but it has been stated by the medical authorities that we are on track to meet 1918's pandemic, which reached 50 million dead, I guess, worldwide, but 50 to 70 million, because I guess they're counting those who may not have been included for whatever reason in that total. So it was stated maybe in July, by Dr. Fauci that we are on track to equal or surpass that. If that is true, do you realize that we must we must have somewhere? Don't be surprised if we don't begin to see 5,000, 7,000 or better deaths a day to even equal what occurred in 1918. God says that the death toll will not even be able to be counted. There will be so many deaths. In order for us to surpass that, we would have to begin to have such a high number of deaths. I would not rule out having way north of 7,000 deaths a day. I would even suspect that we can go as high as 15,000, if not more. I don't know. But God did not give me exact numbers, and I'm not going for exact numbers, but you can just do the math for the most part, or to a certain degree in your head, in order for it to get, well, look, we got to the million mark in 8 months. No, I'm sorry. We got to the 200,000 mark in 8 months. Well, people, let me help you here. There is no way that we're going to stop right here. 200,000 and we've not learned anything. No. We have a long way to go, America. We're going to top. We hadn't even reached our first million. Can you believe it? Within the United States, if we're going to top the world, and if we're, for the most part, roughly at 1/4 or better of the deaths so far, if we reach, say, 12 million worldwide. Right now we're at 1 million and we're 200,000 of the 1 million. We're going to go higher because of all that's pending right now. If the world reaches 12 million deaths, that would mean there would have to be somewhere, if we're going to stay in the range of 1/3 or 1/4 of the deaths of the total world, a fourth of that would be 3 million deaths. If we're going to reach 24 million, that would mean we would have to be at the least 6 million deaths of what will be. If we're going to reach 36 million, that's another 3 million and another. Do you realize that we could very well equal somewhere around 15, 20, 25, 30 million people here in this divided states of America? Do you realize what we're up against? Do you realize what's coming? Do you realize that? Are your eyes open? Get out your dooney. Get out of your dooney. And I'm not talking about your purse. Get out your dooney. Get your head out your dooney. Understand what we're coming to. Understand what's getting ready to happen. And that's just on the side of the virus. That's not to include the economy, the healthcare system, the legal system, the political system, the presidency, the civil war-like activity that will go on, that is going on in small driplets, but that will increase to a degree beyond our furthest imagination. That's not to include everything that will cease, how food will be distributed or not be distributed or not be able to be purchased, how people will not be able to go out of their homes, not even so much because it's being mandated, but because people are so afraid because of the amount of deaths that they see even in their own family members, in their own household. America, we better wake up. God said that this is a season of death. This is a season where death will take its toll. The toll of death will be great. He said there will be a great toll as it relates to death. And death will visit the sick and the healthy, the poor and the wealthy, the powerful and the non-relevant. It does not matter what your social status is. It does not matter what your bank account looks like, what your stocks and bonds look like. It does not matter what your 401k looks like. It's coming at you, brother, sister. It's coming at you, sir, ma'am. There will be houses of death. Houses will be considered houses of death or a house of death because of the amount of people that will die within that one household. Complete households will cease in their existence. Every member of some household will experience death. God said during this period, sickness is just going to run rampant. It'll run rampant in the United States. The United States will see its share of sickness from this virus. The numbers will top every other nation. People will suffer greatly. They'll feel great effects of the sickness. Sickness will take its toll on the people. And the virus, the coronavirus that is, will be only one of the sicknesses of this season. God says there will be several sicknesses during this period. And I don't understand what he's saying there, but sickness will overwhelm the governments of this country. This country will be overwhelmed by the number of sicknesses during this period. And there will be other underlying factors relating to the sickness of the coronavirus. And I think perhaps that's what we're seeing now, the post effects of the coronavirus. People's underlying factors also and issues will go unnoticed and unaddressed because of all the other issues related to the virus and related to whatever else may be out here or forthcoming. Because of this, there will be a greater number of deaths during this period. God says here in this divided states, medical care will not even be relevant. And you know what? One of the ways that I'm seeing it now, it's not even relevant to those in the political positions to do differently. In fact, they have it right in the courts now to just remove Obamacare altogether. Now, I know that that was not a perfect situation for people and that people had to pay into it and they couldn't pay those co-payments or whatever else. And I hear that too. And I don't like that for people. And I am humbled by how God takes care of me and mine as a result of our military days. And so I am humbled and saddened by what other people are going through. And that was one of the reasons why I encouraged and pushed my kids and signed them over at 17 years old, all except one who was 19, but I signed them over at 17 years old, like the day after 17. The week after turning 17, I had a few of them go in to the recruiter. I brought them in at 14 and 15. I groomed my kids for that. Why? Because I said, you all need to go in and be covered, hopefully financially, but also be covered health wise when you get out because of how health care is. So I am humbled and saddened by what other people have to go through. I have a cousin who has some of the pre-existing conditions that I deal with. My health is great because even though I have pre-existing conditions, I am controlled. My conditions are controlled and I don't have any side effects from anything. And I take care of myself health wise. Well, I have a cousin, and the only reason I'm able to take care of myself because of what I have coming through my days from the military or what is offered to me as a veteran. However, I have a cousin who is not so fortunate, and that cousin has some of the same issues as me, and both of our bodies pretty much work the same. Yet at the same time, he is struggling with his same issues. The only difference is he doesn't necessarily have all that I have available to him. And now what he does have is being challenged in the Supreme Court to be totally annihilated, which is Obamacare. People are dying as a result of this, and that is so unfortunate. But that's why this season is here. God says during this season, medical attention will be very scarce. And It'd be very difficult for people to get medical care. We hadn't seen this to its full, to its depths yet, but we will begin to see it. God says that people will suffer during this season because of their health factors due to all of the override that will come about from this season. People with pre-existing conditions, they'll see death, as well as people with non-pre-existing conditions. Death will have no respect, and it'll come in whatever form it comes, America. You're going to see wives and husbands disappear and their children disappearing, parents losing children and children losing parents. And death will become commonplace here in this divided states, America. And when this season is over, it'll be strange to see families, the nucleus of families still existing. It'll become more common to not see families, the nucleuses of families and all together, than it will be to see them still abiding here on this face of the earth. Listen, we're getting into a point where those in position and power don't even care about our lives. God says there'll be little regard for the lives of others. We don't even care here in the United States how many people are dying, how many people are suffering. Sure, there are pockets of people who care. There are certain people on television, in the news media, who seem to care. People are caring, but those who have the pen, the gavel, the power to do something in regards to their care, in regards to how much they claim to care, are doing nothing. God said that people's regard for life will be non-existent. People's lives will no longer matter, and lives are not mattering. And if you say something to the effect of Black lives matter, you will be an example of how little Black lives matter, because someone might kill you just from saying that now. You can wear a hat that says "Make America Great," but it has the color and the reflection of the heart of the one in office and those who support him. Yet, if you wear a Black Lives Matter hat, you say, and I don't say this because I'm an African American or an American. If my forefathers came from Africa, I embrace that. I'm not going to get messed up over the word African. I am Black. I'm not going to get messed up over the fact that I am Black, or over the fact that I'm considered Black, or I have to check the box that says Black or African American. It is what it is at this point. I'm not going to get caught up into the wordings of it all. I'm not talking about Black Lives Matter because I'm Black. I'm talking about Black Lives Matter because I'm talking about a matter, or the matter of life itself. Because God said to me, during this period, people's regard for life will be non-existent. People's lives will no longer matter. If you wear a shirt or a hat that says Black Lives Matter, you might get shot. You got a bunch of AR-15s and other AR platform type weapons out here on the market and out here in the streets, and you're seeing them on television, on the streets and all, with these rifles, these assault rifles. Well, listen, you might get shot, because that's the last thing they want to see, is that certain lives matter. And then they'll have a counter argument to that. Well, our lives matter too. You're right. Your life does matter, but your life is not necessarily hanging in the balance like Black lives are, or like people of color's lives are. Human life will lose its value, and it has. When you have a 17-year-old kill two people in the streets with an AR-15, and this person at 17 years old was so ruthless that he didn't feel a thing when he did what he did. You can claim self-defense. You can claim what you want. Now watch this. When the 28 or 27-year-old, or however old the guy was, in whatever state that was, where the police shot him in his back 7 times, at point blank range 7 times because he had a knife. We never saw the knife. In fact, they claimed the knife was on the floor of the passenger seat in the front. Why did we not see a picture of that knife? How big was the knife? Was it a pocket knife that people carry all the time, especially here in the South? People who are of tan color carry those knives all the time. Country folks love to carry a pocket knife. If they got to cut their apple, if they got to cut a rope, if they got to pick their fingernails, if they got to pick their teeth, they'll have those pocket knives for any and everything. Did he have a pocket knife? Did he have a steak knife? Did he grab at the steak knife? Well, we're not going to give him a chance to grab at the steak knife. Well, here's the problem with that. He was 27, 28 years old, did not have the knife on himself. He did not show himself as a threat with the knife. As far as we could see, we saw nothing of the sort. Yet you had a 17-year-old who was underage, wasn't even from the state that he committed the crimes in, and those were crimes. This isn't a black or white issue. It is a matter of right. He was not of that state. That individual who was shot 7 times, he was from that state. This individual came from another state to create issues, to come there hoping to apparently discover or to get into whatever. This individual was walking around in the open streets with a weapon illegally. He was not old enough to have that weapon, but he had that weapon. And when he utilized that weapon, people still validate and are trying in the courts to validate what he did. And here's another guy who was old enough to have a knife, perhaps a pocket knife or some butter knife or some steak knife or whatever, did not have the knife on his person as much as it was in that vehicle. This other person had a loaded AR-15 on his person for perhaps hours before the shooting ever began, shot one person in the head and killed him perhaps instantly with an AR-15 with some 5.56s or some 223s at a hollow point or whatever he may have had loaded in there, shooting that person at that close of a range. What he did to that person, he felt nothing towards that. When he took off and ran, and people tried to stop him, he turned around and shot with no problem. Never did a hiccup, never cried, never panicked, never felt in distress, never anything. And we validate him. Something is wrong with us, people. That's why life is not valued as God said it would be. Now, God told me this in March. Here we are in October, and now we see all of this to be truth. That human life will cease in its value. Human life will no longer have value. For a 17-year-old to kill someone like that, when I was in the military, I did not want to kill people. But I understood that my job was a killing job, and I didn't like it. And I was saying, God, I love the military, but I just didn't want to be in that job because I'm like, God, I don't want to have to kill anybody if I don't have to. And I don't see where I have to. And I was so stuck in the Bible at that time. You know, the Bible says thou shalt not kill. I was taught that in the Church of God in Deerfield Beach, Florida, at a Church of God forever and ever. You know, every Sunday morning when I was being raised and we would go to Sunday school every Sunday morning, we would have to quote the 10 Commandments. And it says, thou shalt not steal, and thou shalt not kill, and thou shalt not have bear false witness against your neighbor, thou shalt have no other God before thee, and all this other stuff. So I remember thou shalt not kill. So that was all up in my psyche, and I just didn't want to be a killer. And I had something about killing, and then I had something about not wanting to be killed, because if you understand anything about tank rounds, well, at the time the Soviet Union was the threat. So I think it was something like every five for every one tank we had, they had maybe 5 to 7 tanks that was offset and shooting at us. So we're trying to shoot, one tank is trying to kill 5 to 7 other tanks at one time, while those 5 to 7 other tanks are shooting either the very round that we're shooting or around close to what we're shooting. Either way, it was a round that was designed to penetrate steel or a round that was designed to burn up steel. And I didn't want to be penetrated through, and I didn't want to be burned up in. So I felt a certain way. I went into the military at 21. I joined at 21. This guy was 17 years old, and he seemed to not have any heart toward what he had done. In fact, he walked away from it like he was just walking away from a bowel movement in the bathroom. And he was just high stepping out of there and doing his thing. You know, I didn't do nothing. I'm good. All right, y'all take it easy. Let me get on about my business. He did his thing. That's the problem. Where's the value for human life? A 17-year-old should almost freeze in his boots when he sees a murder, when he sees a death. Not so much just because he did the shooting, but because he witnessed it. Him doing the shooting should have made him act a certain way, and he did not show forth that. That is a problem. God says death is going to take its toll on the senses of people. People going to be desensitized. United States, we need to understand that people are so insensitive now to death and to what is done. Police officers, they would have to go through therapy once they shot someone. Now police can shoot someone, shoot them 7 times in the back and have no remorse for it. Go to a person that they shot and kick them and then walk over them because they don't even care. Step on top of them like in Atlanta this year. It is messy what is going on, America, but America, it's coming about like God stated. And we will not escape this season, America. Because you see, America, we're in a divine moment. A divine moment has approached and we're living in that divine moment. And this divine moment is filled with uproar. And this is divine uproar. This is not just human uproar. This is human uproar due to divine petitioning, divine stirring. And this is a season of witnessing an uproar of divinity. Listen, racism, America, is on trial. It's being tried, America. America, you were founded upon your racism. America, you hurt a lot of people, America. America, you did a lot of bloodshed. You have a lot of blood on your palms, America. America, you hurt a whole nation of people, Indians. America, you hurt even your own out of your own personal pride and greed. America, you use a whole nother nation to establish your wealth and your positions and your property that was never your property from the beginning. America, you came here with those same systems, those same ideologies, those same twisted religious beliefs and religious practices that caused there to be a dispersion and caused so many wars, if not all wars, in the past century or centuries. America, you did what you did on the backs of people who had the breath of God in them. America, you avoided being placed on trial. America, even when half of you or a certain number of you from the North wanted to right matters. America, you killed Abe Lincoln. America, you fought to maintain your supremacy. America, you stripped a nation of black people. You stripped them of their dignity, of their pride. You took advantage of their integrity and their honesty. You stripped them of their character. You stripped them of their essence, of their nature. You strip them of their religion. I used to say, well, it's a good thing we came to America because we learned about God. Listen. I was wrong there. Why was I wrong there? Because this is a whole new type of God that America has bought into and made all of us. Remember, the God that America is telling us about is the God that America said was good with us being slaves and having chains around our ankles and whips put on our backs and our skin being burned by the sun while we were out there in those fields working. This is the same God that America said, slaves, obey your masters and don't seek to be loose. This is the same America who gave us a God that says obey the authorities that be. Yet this is the same America who uses the same Bible, but yet here in 2020, you have the churches and you have those in politics who are pastors at their local churches on local levels and all, and they are yet obeying the authorities that be. They won't even obey the Constitution. Instead of them obeying the Constitution, they try to find loopholes throughout the Constitution to justify not obeying the laws of the Constitution. Wait a minute, you told us to obey the authorities and that there's no authority that is set forth except the authority that God has placed in. Yet you all, America, the same America, you all preachers, I'll get on you later, you all were the ones who came against Obama and you didn't want to listen to him and that you would disrespect him. And he was disrespected on every level. This is the very man who had to, and I'm not saying this because he's black and I'm black. I'm just saying it because it's true. This man, they said there was never a president who had to have as many bodyguards as he had to have in the history of the presidency of the United States because of all the threats that were coming at him because of his race, because of his color. Now, wait a minute. He was put into a position of authority and he got it rightly.
That just makes me mad.
He didn't get it by the help of Putin.
That's correct.
He didn't get it by the help of anybody else. He didn't get it by the help of some fat man sitting in some back room in a safe, in a basement or in an attic. He got this here righteously.
That's correct.
Which meant that you owed him your respect.
That's correct.
You owed him according to your Bible.
That's correct.
According to the God that you sold us. You owed him, Obama, to respect him and submit to him and adhere to the things that he promoted and that God used him to put forth. Yet you did not, America. So America, racism, your racism is on trial. Blacks, if you're racist, and I know black people say, well, we can't be racist because we don't have the power. We don't have the influence as they have. So we can't be racist. And technically that is in the definition somewhat of that to validate that point in a technical sense, I would say, from a definition sense. Yet at the same time, I speak of racism just from the point of hatred, resentment, jealousy. You don't have to have money to be a hater or resentful or even jealous. So racism, if it's coming from the black side of things, from the Cuban side of things, from the Hispanic side of things, from the Mexican side of things, from the German side of things, or from the white side of things, the European side of things, it is what it is. And racism is being judged because racism has come to its point of being dealt with. And racism is being sentenced. It's receiving its just sentence. God says that we are at a point of fruition where racism is blossoming its seeds. I told you I'll begin to speak on the sowing and the reaping. I will speak on that in a different recording of a subtopic within this here. But racism, the seeds of racism are blossoming. When a seed blossom, it's a sign of producing that which is innate within the seed. The innate inner fruit of the seed by its genetic makeup is coming forth in this season. The seed of racism has reached its point and it's reached its point to start bringing forth fruit. The seeds of racism, God said, are blossoming around the country, around America, and around the world. But I'm talking about America right now. He said the world is experiencing these seeds, this blossoming, the outrage. Why? Because people are outraged with what has been going on for so long with racism here in this divided states of America. People are outraged over the racism that just continues to prevail throughout the workplace and throughout the healthcare system and throughout the prison system, the legal system and throughout the political system and wherever else. People are outraged for different reasons, but racism is the ultimate reason for the outrage of the people. This is a season of outrage and unrest, America. And racism is the basis for the outrage and the unrest of this season. You need to understand this, America, because America, you're being judged. This is a point where judgment, a type of judgment, a type of decision making is occurring. And the decision is, this is where you stop. This is where the buck stops, America. God said to me that I was supposed to look at the different groups that were being affected by the virus, and that I was to keep an eye on those particular groups that were being affected, especially the first responders. And one of the main groups that he told me to look at was law enforcement. Well, America, we're all now supposed to have and be under a commander-in-chief who is a person of law and order. Well, if you believe that, then you would also believe that I have Jesus Christ sitting right here in my recording studio in my recliner with a beer in his hand. Jesus, what is that in your other hand? That cigarette? Oh, my bad. Oh, he said he don't smoke cancer sticks. So what? No, Jesus, no, Jesus. He just said, he said, I don't smoke cancer sticks, but I ain't got a problem with that weed thing. So what you saying, Jesus? So listen, if you believe that your president is the commander in chief of law and order, you better believe Jesus, as soon as he lights that joint over there, he's gonna pass it to me and I'm gonna hit with him. And as soon as he finishes his beer, we both gonna go and get a whole nother 12 pack together tonight. It's a stretch of your imagination to believe that Donald Trump, the current president, and I won't keep calling his name, but the current president is one who is pushing law and order when he's done everything to block the law and to escape the law and to mess up the order of law. Church, I'm going to leave you alone right now, but I got something coming for you, church. Church, there's something coming for you, church. I'll talk about that when I get to that. But look at the police departments. Police are now being heralded for their policing, for their killing, for their murdering. Police have been put on notice throughout the world. And there's a world cry about the police, especially here in the United States. We see this every day now, seemingly. The police are on call. The police are being held accountable, some of them. Not like it should be yet, but it's coming because this is that period. Listen, God is changing America. America, God is changing. And guess what, America? God is going to change you too, America. America, you are part of this change. And those of you who are tired of what is going on, listen, you won't be here for long. God is coming to deliver you. The children of Israel were in Egypt for 400 years or better. And it says that after that 400 years or better, God heard their cries And God answered. America, it's been 400 years or better since slavery, since you used slaves or brought slaves over here to build your mansions, to build your White House. America, you never paid those slaves. You never reparations, you never rendered. America, it's time now for you to give an account. America, you've done enough free. You've costed people enough, and you did it at the cost of people. You got what you got, America, at the price of other people's lives and families. America, it is time. Now, understand this here. When you look at this movement, America, don't look at this movement as it just being black folks disgruntled, can't get off welfare or being pushed off or are being pushed off welfare. They just want a handout. They just want food stamps. And that's why all of this is happening. So you discredit the disenfranchised in order to validate how you feel and to make others feel the same way the way that you feel. So you discredit them, you disqualify them, and then you can dog them out, and it's free and it's understood and it's even agreed upon. Why? Because people believe in the ideologies that you pushed, that you promoted. Understand this here. God said that the route that people are going right now, they're being divinely directed to do the things that they're doing, to come forth. I know you're going to have a problem with this, but you have a problem with saying that God is even in this movement. That's why you're trying to go back and do everything that you once did, because you don't believe God is in this here. And God gave you your freedom, and God gave you your right, and he gave you your will. Yeah, if he gave you a will, then will yourself out of this doggone pandemic. And if you can't will yourself out of this pandemic, stop thinking that you have this so-called free will. That's part of the illusion that everybody gave you. Our will is not as free as we think. Even Balak or Balaam said to Balak in the Bible, Numbers chapter 20 or 20, just between the chapters of 20 and 24, chapters 20 through 24, Balaam and Balak. Balaam said, I can have no power at all to do anything except that which God has done. If God has not first done it, I cannot do it. I can neither bless you nor can I curse you, not without God. There's another verse in the book of Lamentations. It says, how can any man do what God has not first done? How can I say if God has not first said? You cannot do what it is you think you want to do in this so-called free will. That is the preaching and the teaching of the last probably century. People have been killed, crucified for speaking as I speak now, who's going beyond, who's daring enough and understanding enough to speak regarding the sovereignty of God. I'll speak regarding the sovereignty of God, not the sovereignty of man. You can say how God is all sovereign all you want, yet at the same time say that you are even equally, if not more sovereign than God. In fact, most people believe that they're more sovereign than God because God cannot cross their will, because as some camps now in the church say, they say, well, God cannot do anything in the earth realm because he's not an earth creature. He's a spiritual being, and he dwells in the spiritual realm, and he needs a physical body in order to work out anything. God never had a problem in a physical body, in getting a physical body to do what he needed it to do. Hell, before the body of Adam even had any life in it, God had no problem in putting that body together and making it the color, whatever color God made it at the time. And then when God put breath in the body, he never had a problem with controlling the body either. Somehow we get messed up. Well, Adam took Eve bit the apple. Yeah, but God put the tree there. God put the so-called devil, the serpent, there. Come on. He's the one who put her in the realm of the serpent. He's the one. If he knew that she was going to be a problem and he didn't want her to be a problem, he wouldn't have never created her. The fact that he created her and put her there and then put a tree right there that he knew that would lure her into it and put a so-called serpent, snake, devil, Satan, whoever, Lucifer, whoever, the dragon, the great dragon falling down from heaven, a third of his angels, all this other noisy religious stuff. If you want to believe that to be wholly true, here's the problem with believing so much of what you all believe. Just think about it, people. Who wrote Genesis?
Stop it right now.
Yeah, well, maybe Moses didn't do a thing. He never said he did it. You said he did it. I know exactly. Anyway, moving on. We won't mess with that, but we're going to mess with that, but we won't mess with that. But we will mess with it because we never leave anything alone, though we won't mess with it right now. But we will mess with it. So don't think you're getting off the hook. We're coming back to it. I got a hook to give you to hook you into that at some other point in time. It's all a hook, you know. Do not judge the direction that this season is going, America. Don't look at the people and think that this is just the people acting. Don't judge the people's actions the way that you all are labeling people. Even the church is labeling the people. I heard these well-renowned preachers, these well-made millionaires who are possibly close to being billionaires in the church, just labeling the people and labeling the uproar and the so-called riots. There aren't no riots necessarily going on like they say. These are people going at it. These are people having it out. It's a big club fight. Your club against my club. You know, it's folks just doing stuff. But folks ain't just doing stuff on their own. Folks are being divinely stirred. But God says, don't judge the direction that the people are going. Don't judge the direction of this movement. Don't judge their actions during this movement. Don't judge their behavior. This is being divinely directed. God says you don't have to agree with the people. You do not have to agree with their actions or their behavior. You don't even have to understand them. But you don't have to judge them either. Sometimes when you don't understand the thing, you just need to leave that thing alone. Sometimes when you don't get a thing, you just need to sit down until you get the thing. And if you never get the thing, you just don't put your mouth on the thing. It is not for you to judge. And then God said it is not for you to judge why the people are doing and how they're doing and where the stirring is coming from. He said, because the stirring is not of them. It didn't originate from them. This is not their doing, the stirring up. I would dare to say even the Palestinians, or should I say the Jebusites and the Hivites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and all of these other sites, the Hivites, if I didn't say the Hivites, the Hittites and the Hivites, all of these nations, Assyria, Babylon, God said, I'm stirring up your enemies. I'm stirring them up. Apparently, God is somewhere in the backdrop, in the foredoings of even those who are of the militant groups who are rising up. Neither the Pharisees nor the Sadducees put Judas forth to do what he did, but rather God chose that Judas do what he did. Not the Pharisees or the Sadducees. Pharaoh didn't harden his heart. Now, folk in the church will tell you that because they want to keep pushing free will. Pharaoh didn't harden his heart, but the Bible says multiple times over that God hardened his heart. He said so that he won't give them up, Moses, so that he won't let them go. I will harden his heart so that he doesn't do it. Well, if God had to harden his heart, that says to me, the man had a soft heart, and it took what God was doing for him to do what he did. So when you look at these people in these militant groups and all, don't just see them. There's something else working there. It's the yin and the yang. It's the positive and the negative. It's the opposites attracting, the opposites being pulled into a meeting. Yes, listen, God says that the universe has reached its end of tolerating America. The universe has reached its point of intolerance, America. The universe, America, can no longer tolerate the viruses that you're putting forth, America. The universe can no longer maintain its silence, America. America, no matter how long the universe has maintained its silence, America, you just keep doing and you just keep doing and you just keep doing. And you don't even care, America. The universe is screaming out against the viruses of our societies. The universe is responding to the injustices of the day. America, the injustices of this nation, the injustices of the world have created a cry throughout the world, America, and you will not be able to silence that. In fact, your noise, America, those of you who are noisy in the White House, those of you who are noisy in the political arena, in the legal systems, in the economic systems, those of you who are making much noise, you're going to be silent. And the voiceless are going to become the noisy ones for a good reason. The voices of those, America, who are not for change are going to be silenced. Your voices won't be heard again. There's certain voices, America, that will never be heard again. The voices are going to be snuffed out. God is snuffing out voices. This season, the universe is snuffing out voices. This is not a period for the noise of the noisy, not for the wrong noise, that is. He says there will be noisiness. He said the noisy will make noise. But this is not the season for the noise of the noises, because their noises will be put to silence. He says this season is a season for change. It's ordained for change. If you are not speaking toward change, you will be silenced. You will see the stirring and the unrest among those who oppose the issues of this season. America, you're opposing what people are proposing. You are opposing, but you're not going to overcome. You're not going to overcome the progress or the change that is occurring in America. Those of you who are against this change, who are against equality, who want things to stay as they always were, America, this is a new America. This is a new world coming forth. This is a new world order coming forth, America. Your systems of oppression must cease, America. America, your systems of oppression will have to cease. America, your systems of oppression will cease. See, America, until this happens, the violence in this season will increase. People are going to increase in their violence, and you're going to see violence increase at levels unheard of, America. Violence will begin to come forth from nowhere and everywhere. It'll arise from seemingly nothing, America, but it will occur, and people will be confronted, and people will not even have the basis for the violence that will occur. Some of this violence will not even have rhyme or reason to it, America, but there's every reason for it. People will increase, America, in their protests, because America, unto the new America, unto the new world system, the new world order comes forth, America, people are going to protest in greater numbers. They're going to continue to progress in greater numbers than what the police are able to mishandle. America, you're not going to prevail. This is your season to dry up. See, the number of the people will outnumber the number of the police. The numbers will not be equal. People will prevail over what we consider law and order. It's not law. It's law for some, and it's not order. It's only order for some. There will be nothing that the president, this current president, and I don't even know if it may be referring to the president beyond this current president, that he'll be able to do. He will be bound to the White House. And I believe that we're talking about this particular one here, though. But I will not limit it. He will be bound by the people. He will be forced by the people. I don't know how that's going to take place, but let's just see. I will not read any more of that, America, because I'll read that when I deal with the president and the politicians of this divided states of America. Understand this, America, that this season is being orchestrated by God, divinely orchestrated. This whole eventful season is being dictated to by no one but God. It is God, America, who is dictating this shifting. It is God, America, who is dictating the direction of this movement that is going forth. It is God, America, that is behind all of the racial movements, the racial disagreements, the racial uproar. This is not a season, America, that is being brought on by man or black folks or Democrats or whoever else, or even Republicans. Man is not orchestrating this season. Man is not manipulating this season, America. Man is not producing the movements and the uproar of this season, America. America, don't think that you're fighting with the hands of men. Listen to this, America. All of this is happening within the moment of the pandemic. And this is just like the pandemic. This moment and all of this change is all happening at the backdrop or upon the backdrop of the pandemic. And see, the pandemic came and it uncovered everything that was not right. Everything that had its racial divide, its inequality, its injustice. This racial movement is about God bringing forth history, a divine moment in history where change happens. This racial movement is due to what this pandemic did. It uncovered our vulnerableness. It uncovered our wretchedness. It uncovered the open doors that we had. It allowed us to see into the windows of our society, into the windows of our marketplace, of our economy, of our healthcare system, of our legal system, of our presidential system, of our political system, of our school system, and of all other systems. This season isn't a season of uncovering, America, deep uncovering. Everything, America, is being exposed, uncovered. America, you're being exposed. America, the world is watching. America, the world is interested. America, you have the attention of the world. America, the world is looking at you. America, you're on the stage of the world. You are on a world stage and you are being brought to the forefront, America. America, stop thinking that we're going to have some type of peace. This is not a period of peace. This is not even a period where passivity is going to take place. America, if you think that black folks are going to sit still and be passive in this season, you have another thing coming, America. America, if you think that white folks are going to sit and be passive in this season, America, you have another thing coming, America. America, change demands of us to get up out of our seats. America, change demands of us to do differently. America, change involves feelings and emotions. Change is oftentimes aggressive and loud. Change is often bloody. Change is often costly. But if you won't change, America, it's going to cost you. And America, change is coming forth. In America, you have costed so many individual lives. And America now is costing so many individual lives. Listen, America, no one is going to sit down and dribble now, America. No one's going to get on the stage and with their big lips and their black faces and do a jugaloo for you. Nobody's going to dance for you, America. America, people are tired of performing for you, America. This racial move in America is not going to be passive. Listen, America, God has made this period America active. It's going to have a bunch of activity, a bunch of activeness, a bunch of activism. America, you might as well get used to it. Until change comes, America, this is what it's going to be. See, America, activists are being summoned by God. They're being petitioned from the heavenlies. Listen, the activism period that we're witnessing in America is not something that man is doing. Man is not creating this America. Man doesn't fully understand it. He just knows that he's there now. He knows that he's here now, and he's just moving because of the momentum and the flow and where the current is taking him. Even though he doesn't even fully understand the current, he knows within himself, many of the people know within themselves that this is the time to speak forth. This is the time to stand up regardless of the cost. America, this is a period of ordained historical proportions. Listen, events will be recorded in this season, America, that have never been recorded. This is a season, a period of historical proportions. Listen, America, we're in this for the long haul. America, we're not closing the doors to this season yet. America, we will not escape this season. We cannot hide up under a table. We cannot hide up under a rock. We can't fly up into one of the other galaxies and live there, America. We don't have that down pat yet. There's too many of us to try to get up in ships, rocket ships, and go up there, America. That's not the way this is going to work, America. The length of this season, America, will be greater than any other season. America, this will not be a short movement, America. People will not just make noise, get beat up, and go back home. America, this will be an extended movement. It will be an intense movement, but it will not end the way that you think it will end. The people are going to continue to disrupt your systems, America. Your systems, America, are being disrupted. See, America, you're in a disruptive moment. God is rearranging things. He's shuffling things. He's changing things. America, the racial divide is being removed, America. First, it's being exposed and addressed, and then it will be removed. Listen, this movement is going to disrupt all the systems of the world. America, race has caused there to be such injustice, such a disregard for those who are not as fortunate as the ones who would benefit from the systems that you, America, set up for the people of this divided country. America, those who are on the bad end of the system, those who are not the beneficiaries of the system from the wealthy and healthy sort of things, America, those individuals are standing up. And their movement, their stand-up is creating a movement that's going to disrupt your social systems. And it's going to expose and demand and receive change from what racism has corrupted and brought forth. This movement is going to disrupt the corrupt systems. You might as well accept it, America. This is where we are. The things that are being exposed in this season, they're not going to be swept over anymore, America. Things will no longer be swept under the rug. People will not be able to dismiss what is to be exposed in this season. People will not be able to deny the things that will be exposed. Things will no longer be dismissed or denied. Listen to this, America, and then I'll pull out of here right now. I will deal with this section right here more when I deal with the United States as it relates to the president and the political system. Understand this here, America. The presidency began the process of this disruptive season. See, the disruption of this current season that we're going through began with the 2016 presidency. See, that disruption, that was a disruption within itself, America, that disrupted the world. But at the same time, but perhaps no other place greater than here in the United States. God said to me that the disruption that is occurring in this season began with the presidency of the United States, the current. The 2016 president was a disruptive process. See, America, the 2016 presidency disrupted the world. It disrupted the world's systems. It disrupted the systems of this world. It disrupted the nations. It disrupted nations and even societies. Understand this, America. You have to understand this here. America, we have been asses on display. We have been assets on the platform of the world. We have shown our assier parts to everybody.
That's correct.
America, it is now time for us to be disrupted, how we've disrupted other nations and other parts of the world and their economies. What is happening and what happened through this current presidency, it was divine. And this president was divinely chosen, but not people for the reasons that you think he was chosen. That's where you're wrong at. You're not wrong for saying that he was chosen of God. He's a chosen vessel. But like I said, your mailman was chosen. That person who met you at the drive-thru at your local restaurant that you chose to go to was chosen. The person who built the road that you drive on every day, she was chosen. Understand that just because God chooses a thing and uses a thing doesn't mean that the thing is all right. Now we'll leave it alone right there, but we're going to get on it again. It disrupted the health systems and the legal systems and the religious systems and religion itself. The 2016 presidency disrupted homes and relationships. Listen. It has continued on for the past 4 years. And now we see nothing but utter corruption coming forth. Corruption has reached its peak at this point of where we are right now. And I'm not saying that came necessarily from 2016 because corruption was already present. But corruption has gone or shown itself more vividly than it has ever been shown to us before. And God says corruption has come to its full term and that corruption has run its course. Now, America, I want to read this part, but America, I will not read that until I get to the next point. I want to say the systems of this world, and I want to deal with the politics, but I won't speak on that until I deal with where we are going when I deal with the presidency of the United States or the president and the political arena, which will be a separate topic within itself. Whew. Please understand, people, that it is very hard to put this out. You don't know what it is to hear from God, to know what you heard from God, but to try to explain it to people and give it to people where they can understand it. Notice that I don't say the thuses and the these and the thous and all of that because God does not speak like that to me. Thank God he doesn't. Whoa. Especially me being a high school dropout, but don't get it wrong because I was a major university graduate with good honors as well. I've been on many dean's lists and many president's lists. I was at a college that was more against me and especially my race than they were for me. And I saw that in the way that they graded me, but it didn't matter because it pushed me to another level. It pushed me to be better, to stand forth and to stand out. And I did that. So don't get it twisted because I'll tell you that I dropped out of high school. I'm no dummy, though I've done some dumb things in my life, some terrible things in my life, some stuff that I'm not proud of in the least bit. But my heart is right. And my heart was right then as much as I understood and could be right. And my heart is definitely right now. And know that I pour my heart into the things that I say and the things that I do and the things that I hear. It is difficult to try to put this over to people and to pass this over to people because these are deep revelations. These are deep conversations. These are deep hearings. And I remember years ago, God said to me something to the effect of, I'm going to use you to go out into the deep. And like a fisherman, you go out into the deep and you get the fish, you catch the fish, and then you bring it back to the shore where the people are. And that's what I'm doing right now. God brought me into the deep of him, and I had to catch what was out there in the deep that the people couldn't get to. And I had to catch it, take it onto the boat, package it up, understand what I had, package it up, get it right, and then come to the shoreways, come to where the people are and deliver it. That's not easy, people. That's not easy. And I just want you to know that I give my all to doing this because I want this to be correct. I want you to hear this, and I want you to most of all understand it. Because, you know, there is a verse in Proverbs that says, and with all you're getting, get understanding. And I don't want you to just know this, but I want you to understand it as much as I can give it for you to understand. Some of it you're going to have to understand through whatever God gives you once I lay it out. So that wraps this one up. I appreciate it. Know that I'll be with you on the next one, and we'll continue on with this subject or this subtopic. Thank you.